The world is changing rapidly, and so are the markets. In today's video, we're going to look at what happened. We're going to try to understand why, and I'll give you all the details that you need to know. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today's video is all about that sea of red. You've probably seen it in the news. You're probably looking at this information, trying to pinpoint exactly why. I'm going to give you some insight on that today. You look at the crypto markets, which I consider to be a leading indicator of what's to come in the stock market because it is considered to be a risk asset. Okay, so we're going to see what happens in cryptos, particularly since it trades 24/7. Things will happen there before anywhere else. So watch the crypto markets. When we look at what has happened over the last while, you could see the money printing, that devaluation of the currency can cause problems. You have to understand, what do I do? Is it the time to sell? Is it the time to buy? What should I be doing with my retirement account? If you just blindly do things, you are never going to get anywhere. Let me assure you, the best decisions I've made financially have all been with proper planning. Here you can see what happens with your tax dollars. This is improper decisions being done without you knowing. You have no say. The government's going to do whatever they want. How rich musicians build American taxpayers for luxury hotels, shopping sprees, and multi-million-dollar bonuses. They're going to do whatever they want. Do you understand? It doesn't matter. You zoom out 10 years, 15 years. The simple playbook here is that the little guy gets screwed. You've got the elite, the richest people, that they can find all these loopholes. They know how to do things. But of course, you, the individual, don't have these same opportunities. So you could say, hey, plug the loopholes. We need to figure out how we're going to even survive what's coming. Why? Because of AI, robotics, automation coming and swooping in, taking the jobs. Look, the Federal Reserve did something, and you need to know what happened, okay? Because it's affecting everybody, not just in the United States, not just in the crypto markets. Look, Brazil traders sell first, ask later as panic hits the markets. You can see Brazil's 5-year credit default swaps jumped. What is a credit default swap? It's basically like a bet on how much risk there is. Whenever you see a credit default swap going up, that means there's more risk that investors believe is going on. And you could see in this case here, China, Argentina, those are down. And on the other end of the spectrum, looking at that, Brazil on the up, not in a good way. Okay, here we have these articles written, and this, I believe, is always a bad sign. Whether Bitcoin reaches the elusive $1 million mark or encounters new challenges, it's going to be da-da-da. And this is, of course, just a promotion to a different website, but I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm looking at the NFTs making a comeback. I am seeing all of these extremes. You've seen it. The coins that have been created, those $1 billion worth, $1 billion of coins made up of hot air. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, these things, $1 billion, that is a bad sign. That's when you get Jerome Powell and his money printer. That turns out to be a bad thing, okay? So you, the individual, you're working hard, you're saving your money, you're doing all these things, and your value is being put into an incinerator. It's being put into, this printer, as it seems here, and devaluing beyond, way beyond anything that you're capable of dealing with. Look, I look at the amount of, this is Jamie Dimon, by the way. I look at the amount of fiscal and monetary stimulus that has taken place over the last 5 years. It's been so extraordinary. How can you tell me it won't lead to stagflation? What is stagflation? Well, that means you're going to have this time frame in which inflation's elevated, but there's no growth. Okay, nothing's happening. Your wages aren't going anywhere. You got inflation that's too high, and it just goes on and on and on. And that has been going on here, where we have seen asset prices rise, certainly, but the average person is just getting destroyed. I'm talking about everywhere. People who used to have money, who used to be able to spend very well, they have not been able to benefit. Depends on job scenarios, depends on a bunch of things. In the case of what's happening with the coming administration, we could see countries starting to deal with this in a negative manner, and that is, in this case, we're looking at Canadians. The Canadian manufacturing industry is going to be slaughtered by the tariffs. In fact, all of these companies, which, by the way, represents, I believe it said 10% of the GDP of Canada manufacturing, immediately there's going to be layoffs. Already they've had hiring freezes. They've tried to import more products, export more products, do everything now before the time comes. This is going to be pain, and every industry is going to be impacted by it. And what are you doing? Are you taking action today? At the end of this video, free giveaway, two for the Finance Friday. Okay, didn't do a video last week, too busy. This week I'm doing it, and this Friday, right now, as you're seeing this Friday, we're giving away 2 free passes to the Finance Friday. Get in so you could learn for 2 hours. Okay, be available on the Friday. Look, this is basically what we're talking about, how investors are seeing a rosier picture. So we saw Bitcoin go up to 108. We saw the stock market roaring, like S&P 500 at 6,000. But you got to understand something, okay? Where does this lead us? Where does this take us? I've got too much information here. I'm just trying to give you the basics before I give you that key point. Bitcoin pullback deepens as the US ETFs suffer record daily outflow. Is this just profit taking, or was the rise initially the problem? More men are addicted to the crack cocaine of the stock market. That's what some would say. Let's go back a step. Here, the sharp reaction to the Fed could be an ominous sign for markets in 2025. What did the Fed do? This is the press release directly from them, and you can see it for yourself. They lowered the target range of the Fed funds rate by a 1/4 percentage point. Quarter percentage point. What does that mean? 0.25%. They cut the Fed funds rate, the most important interest rate, arguably, globally. That was cut by a 1/4 point, not by 0.5, 0.5%. That's what they wanted. And there was a signal that, yeah, you know what, we're getting close to the end. At the same time, the San Francisco Fed President Daly said, we want to make sure we get inflation down. All of that made the market wet itself. Why? Because it was expecting more, it wanted more, it desired more, and unfortunately, it's not getting what it asked for. So it's an opportunity to take some off the top. Okay, the froth, the euphoria, let's trim some of that. And that's what's happening. Now, where it goes from here is, of course, very difficult in the short period. I covered it for 2 hours on the Friday session. So, you're only going to get a snippet in the video. But what I mean to say here is that end of year, very difficult to predict. Don't try to predict it. Be more cautious. You can be optimistic, but be more cautious. We're also going into a very uncertain point all the way through, early January. It's up and down into what's going to happen. We don't know. Okay, tariffs. Are we going to get that? Are we going to get the back and forth with China again? These things, of course, could affect markets broadly, but there is a lot of optimism. And so if we're going with that, then we could see markets doing at least reasonably well. Why? Because interest rates are being cut. Okay, they're still being cut, but we need the euphoria to be trimmed off of there. Where do we look for euphoria? We're going to look at the Bollinger Bands. We're going to look at the RSI. We're going to look at the stochastic slow. We're going to look at the stock RSI. These are called oscillators, and they help us determine where we are in technical analysis. But then I look at something like articles written saying, hey, Bitcoin's going to be 1 million. And then I look at fear and greed index. And then I look at, what are they saying on CNBC and Bloomberg? Are we getting lots of bearish articles? Are we getting lots of bullish articles? And compared to normal, of course, because they're always bullish. I also look at puts versus calls. Put versus call. What does this mean? How many bets are being put on that the market goes up, or how many bets being put on the market going down? There's always going to be more, for the most part, on the market going up. But if that suddenly changes, whoa, now we have something to worry about. And when everybody goes in one direction, it's usually the other direction. Because if you notice this exact thing happen, exactly. Why? You looked at they say buy insurance when you don't need it. Okay? Buy insurance when you don't need it. This is the way it works. That's what, investors always get wrong. It's like, hey, Bitcoin's at 108,000. Oh, let's all get in. And then you see what happens. This is not a way to time the market, and you don't have to time the market, but you can see certain points at which you realize, okay, a long trajectory here. I could see where this is going. I think it's going to go up, let's say. Okay, but you should be having some level of timing on your entries. Otherwise, you usually get caught up in the euphoria that when everything is up, that's when you get in. Sure, you might retrace and be better after, but usually people get caught in right at those peaks. You're buying in at those peaks. You want to be buying in, if not steadily, you got to buy in when things, nobody wants it, basically. Anybody who was buying in at Bitcoin, if you remember, there was a period of years and years where Bitcoin was around that 8,000 to 9,000. It seemed like forever. You had so many, you didn't have to time it. You could have just said, yeah, I'll put a little bit in there. Okay, it's 8,000, 9,000. I know where this is going. Here. You didn't need to time it. It was literally years at that level, okay? You got to get this into your head in what's happening today, because things are getting wacky. Spotify employees say it's promoting fake artists to reduce royalty payments to real ones. Is it true? I don't know. But I can tell you very, very carefully here right now that we are in this different world. AI, robotics, automation, they're coming for the jobs. You know that one by one they will, and you have to adapt. You got to upskill. You have to upskill. This is very important. We are in a transition period in which we can utilize a lot of these things before they come and take that job. Do you think the YouTubers, they're not going to be better YouTubers when they're they look so fantastic, the way the look is, and all the information so dialed in. They never make a mistake. They always cross their T's and dot their I's, or dot their T's and cross their I's. Anyway, free Finance Friday giveaway for 2 hours. I'm going to bring 2 people in there. This is actually sponsored by one of the members of the Finance Friday. And so you get to sit in for 2 hours this Friday. All you got to do is hit the link in the description. It's a giveaway. You put an email. That's all I request. And there's an email. I don't email you, okay? I like spam you or whatever. It's literally just for the contest. You win, and I want to see you there. For 2 hours, we're going to get in depth. You can ask any question you want except about Janet Yellen, okay? If you want to know more, all in depth, there's a link right here, which is themoneygps.com/live, or just go to themoneygps.com and see what I got there for you. Okay, there's so much free stuff. It's unbelievable. What do I ask? Hit that thumbs up button. That's it. That's how you support this channel. Hit that thumbs up button. I've been too busy to make videos. I have 4 businesses. I have to do what I need to, but I want to thank you for being here. I'm not going anywhere, okay? I'm still going to make videos, but I have to make them on my own time and when I think is best. I've been, called this and that and names and all you told people not to invest and everything. You're completely misinterpreting the information. If that's the case, if that's what you think, telling people to go and hide in your bunkers, never once did I ever say that. But anyway, that's the way the world works, right? There's always that negativity, but we have to bring out the positivity, in the face of all that criticism and everything. So I want to thank you for being here. And of course, I'll see you next time. Hit that link. Okay. Get that free giveaway. See you soon.